Hello, my name is Heather Elliott, and I'm going to tell the story of how the Grinch stole Christmas from the Dr. Seuss book. So, there was this town called Whoville, and it's full of a bunch of people that are called Whos. And the Whos loved Christmas, and they would celebrate for the whole Christmas season. And their favorite holiday, being Christmas, they would decorate and they would have stockings and trees and ornaments and presents, and they'd have a big old feast. And every year they would celebrate and sing and be happy. And there was this guy named the Grinch that they were all scared of, and they didn't know what was wrong with him, but he hated Christmas. And every year he'd get really upset and just really mad. He'd want to stop Christmas from coming, but he never really knew how to do it. And the Whovilles didn't, like I said, didn't know what was wrong, but they just assumed that his heart was just too small. And they said his heart was two sizes too small. So one year when the Grinch was up on his mountain on Mount Crumpet, and he was deciding how he was going to stop Christmas from coming, and he came up with a plan. So his plan was that he was going to pretend to be Santa Claus. And so he made himself a suit out of red material and dressed himself up as Santa Claus, and then he dressed his dog up as Max. And so Max, he just gave him an antler like this so that he could be a reindeer and pull a sleigh. And so he waited until Christmas Eve, when he waited until all the Who's went to bed, and he loaded up his sleigh with a bunch of bags and rope and things like that, because he was going to take all of their Christmas stuff. He was going to go in and he was going to steal everything. So once they all went to bed, he went and rode down the mountain, and Max pulling the sleigh, and he went into the first house, and he took all their stuff. He took their tree, he took their feast, he took the Who hash, he took the stockings, he took the ornaments, the gifts. All he left was a little bitty crumb that wasn't even big enough for their mouse. And then he went into the next house, and next house, and next house. And he did this for all of his houses. And at the last house he went to, he accidentally woke up a little Who named Cindy Lou Who. And she comes out, and she asks him, "Mr. Santa Claus, why are you taking all of our stuff? Why are you taking our Christmas tree? And why did you take all of our Who hash and stuff?" And of course, he's a smart dude. He's pretty crafty, so he decided that he was going to come up with a story. And he told Cindy Lou Who, "Well, I'm just taking this tree because it has a bulb that's not working right. So I'm going to take it and fix it, and I'll bring it back before morning." And so she said, okay. She went to bed, took her glass of water, went back to sleep. And the Grinch shoved the tree up the chimney and took off. And by the time he left her house, it was morning. It was the sun was starting to come up, and he took all of his stuff with Max and went up the mountain. And he decided he was going to just wait and listen to them all crying, because that's what he wanted to hear. He didn't want to hear the happy, joyful celebrating. He wanted to hear them all sad and upset. So he goes up to the top of the mountain, and he waits. And he waits and he waits and he waits. And he doesn't hear any crying. So he starts listening, and he goes like this. And he's like, okay, what do I hear? I hear something. And so he hears this noise rising up. And he realizes that they're all singing. All the Who's came out of their houses and got a big old circle holding hands. And they were all just singing. And they didn't care that they didn't have their trees and their presents and their gifts and all that stuff. And they were just happy anyway. And so he was like, well, what's going on? I took Christmas away. How are they still celebrating? And so he thought and thought and thought and thought. He couldn't figure it out. And finally, it took him hours. And he finally decided maybe Christmas isn't about the presents and the toys and the stockings and the feast. Maybe it's about something more. And so as he realizes this, and he hears the singing and the joyful noises from the Whoville, they say his heart grew. His heart grew 3 sizes, so big that it filled up his whole chest. And he didn't know what to do, but it didn't feel right. And it definitely didn't feel right that he had taken all their stuff. So what he did, he took Max and he took his sleigh and he rode back down the hill, down the mountain into Whoville. And all the Who's see him coming, and they rejoice because all their stuff is there. But they knew that that stuff wasn't important. And they were just happy that he came back and he returned their stuff. And the Who's, being who they are, welcomed him in. And they said, well, come on in and join in our celebration. And so the Grinch helped them redecorate everything, helped them hang up their stockings, put up their trees, and then he sat down to the feast with them. And he carved the roast beast. So that is the story of how the Grinch stole Christmas and how his heart grew 3 sizes that day and how he was then a Christmas lover after that. I hope you enjoyed.